There are more and more questions about what encrypted messengers actually are, why inventors and entrepreneurs should use them, and which apps can combine a high level of privacy protection with everyday convenience. Underlying these questions is a growing sense that protecting privacy online is becoming increasingly difficult. In the public sphere, stories regularly resurface about how messages sent by users end up on service provider servers, where they are collected, profiled, and analyzed, and then, to a greater or lesser extent, used for business purposes or shared with partners. This is linked to technological progress and the never-ending race for data, which encourages the creation of tools capable of grabbing and interpreting it in the blink of an eye.
Encrypted messengers, also called secure messengers, are programs designed to protect the content of transmitted messages by encoding them. In practice, this means that the information is readable only to the sender and the recipient, and any peeking along the way, whether by third parties or even by the service's own administrators, is meant to be impossible. This matters because today a huge share of our day-to-day information exchange happens via chats tied to large social media platforms. Such platforms can be convenient, but they don't always deliver the standard expected by people working on confidential projects. They face accusations of administrative overreach, and sometimes also of using collected data in outside ventures. Regardless of the specifics, one conclusion remains important. If communication concerns ideas, inventions, R&D projects, or trade secrets, you must not assume that an ordinary, unencrypted messenger is sufficient.
The risk does not concern service providers alone. Even when a platform itself doesn't look into message content, systems get attacked. Hackers have repeatedly broken through the defenses of social networks, gaining access to administrative or user accounts. If cybercriminals were to have even brief access to the messages of someone working on an innovation, they could collect phone numbers and contacts, financial data, logins, sensitive personal information, and ultimately, descriptions of technical solutions, specifications, and key design assumptions. The consequences would depend on the scope of the leak, from mere embarrassment to real reputational and financial damage, and in extreme cases, situations in which someone rushes to file a patent application ahead of the creator or to prepare a competing implementation.
It is worth understanding how encrypting messengers actually work. The most important standard is end-to-end encryption, in which the keys that decrypt messages exist only on the devices of the parties to the conversation. The administrator, even if they wanted to, cannot read the content. For this reason, such solutions are used not only by private individuals, but also by journalists, activists, politicians, lawyers, and inventors. This model, however, brings design challenges. If everything is to remain truly private, it becomes harder to offer convenient synchronization of a full chat history across multiple devices or to provide cloud search across conversation text. Companies designing messengers therefore have to balance privacy and convenience.
How can you tell that a given app does not offer full protection? Often, during registration, it requests broad consent to process data for the purposes of tailoring features or advertising. Refusing is often equivalent to being unable to use the service. This is a red flag, because if a provider wants to combine as much information about us as possible, it's hard to expect that at the same time they will minimize that data. When exchanging sensitive content, especially when conversations involve a patent attorney, R&D partners, or investors, it is more prudent to use solutions that prioritize end-to-end encryption and metadata minimization.
A handful of names dominates the conversation market. Telegram entices with a wealth of features and a polished look, runs on mobile and desktop systems, supports thematic channels, allows massive communities, and offers practically unlimited cloud storage for files. That convenience comes at a cost. Default chats are not end-to-end encrypted because their contents, to remain visible on every device, are synchronized through servers. A private mode exists, but you have to enable it manually, and conversations held this way will not be synchronized across devices. For some, this is an acceptable compromise. For others, a reason to look elsewhere. There have also been instances where researchers pointed out leaks of information about a user's online status, which matters operationally for some audiences.
At the other end of the spectrum is Signal, a messenger designed from the ground up with maximum privacy in mind. Content is end-to-end encrypted, and servers store the absolute minimum of information without building graphs of relationships or activity logs. The client code and encryption protocol are open, which facilitates independent audits and builds trust. The solution is supported by digital rights organizations, used by people operating in high-risk environments, and its protocol has been adopted by other apps as well. Signal continues to develop voice and video calls, group chats, and privacy settings, but deliberately avoids becoming an entertainment platform. The downsides can include fewer bells and whistles and smaller community than the giants, sometimes making it harder to convince contacts to migrate. There have also been instances where researchers pointed out leaks of information about a user's online status, which matters operationally for some audiences.
WhatsApp is the most popular mass market choice. It works everywhere, does use end-to-end encryption, offers calls and video, short voice messages, group chats, and convenient international communication at no cost. Its market position means everyone is there, which is a practical advantage. Concerns arise, however, from its belonging to an ecosystem that lives off data. Even if message content is encrypted, metadata, who contacts whom, when, and how often, remains valuable and may be processed to build services, statistics, and integrations. It's worth remembering backup settings too. Storing backups in the cloud without full encryption can undermine a significant portion of the promised protection.
There is also a whole array of niche solutions that prioritize security over convenience. Some can encrypt not only messages, but also address books, notes, or selected file directories, offering remote wipe features in case of theft. Some tools specialize in encrypting files or SMS. Others function as browser-based services for exchanging secret memos. In the business world, there's growing interest in enterprise messengers deployed on-premises or in clouds that meet stringent standards, as well as solutions from the largest providers, Microsoft, Google, Apple, and Amazon, where, beyond features, the compliance model, audits, and the ability to integrate with organizational security policies matter. One must remember, though, that free variants of business tools are often stripped down and leave gaps in data protection that disappear only with paid editions that offer a full suite of controls.
Behind individual users' choices lies a legislative debate about the limits of scanning content. Under the banner of fighting crime, including CSAM, proposals have emerged requiring communication providers to analyze all messages, photos, and files, even in services using end-to-end encryption. Supporters point to the need for more effective protection of minors. Opponents warn of an unprecedented level of surveillance, the risk of leaks, and a real weakening of encryption standards. The debate continues, and EU member states do not speak with one voice. For the average user and for businesses, the takeaway is very practical. You must choose tools consciously and understand what they truly promise.
Communication security is not only about technology, but also how we use it. Even the best messenger cannot protect against impulsively clicking a suspicious link sent by a friend whose account has been taken over. You need the habit of verifying requests for urgent transfers, authorization codes, or login data, ideally by calling the sender through another channel. It's worth using features to block malicious contacts, enabling two-factor authentication, setting biometric locks on the app itself, and, where possible, turning on disappearing messages and limiting profile visibility. Remember, too, that privacy is not just content, but also metadata. The mere fact that two people are communicating at certain times can reveal a lot. That's why some tools introduce features like hiding IP addresses during calls or delaying and mixing traffic to make profiling harder.
It's also worth returning to why inventors and entrepreneurs should pay special attention to encryption. The answer is simple. Communication is the bloodstream of a project. Chats are where decisions are made, drafts circulate, and numbers and parameters appear. If the channel isn't secure, it's like holding a meeting in a room with the door ajar. Whether or not someone is actually eavesdropping, the very fact that they could should be enough to change habits. If sensitive matters have already been discussed on an unencrypted messenger, it is wise to ask the other party to delete the thread, remove local copies, and probably secure the idea on the legal front as well. Then, switch the team to end-to-end tools and establish simple rules. What we cover in chat, what by email, and what only by voice or on an encrypted video call without recordings.
Comparing the most popular solutions produces a clear picture. Telegram offers a huge feature set